Welcome to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks, and I am thrilled to have you join me on this transformative journey. You see, every day we dive into a powerful conversation about self-discovery, healing, and empowerment. This podcast is brought to you by Ask Nyomi and Elevate Me Self-Discovery, where we believe that loving yourself is the first step to living a fulfilling life. You can expect insightful discussions, practical tips, and inspiring stories. Plus, we'll occasionally welcome special guests who will share their unique perspectives on self-love and personal growth. So get comfy, grab your favorite beverage, and let's embark on this journey together. Because it's time to embrace the beautiful person that you are. So let's elevate our lives one episode at a time. Now let's get started. All right, my beautiful people. Well, welcome to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I'm your host, Nyomi Banks, and today is Wisdom Wednesday. You know, we are deep into the Year of the Rebirth series. You know, it's all about this year. And in each month, we are exploring new layers of what it means to come home to yourself and to love yourself deeply and to rise stronger than life challenges. Well, this month, we are focusing on one of the most powerful things yet. And that's emotional resilience. Because let's be real, life will throw us curveballs, but it's what we do with those experiences that shapes us or who we become. Well, today's episode is called Releasing Emotional Burdens, a Journey to Resilience. And I'm honored to have a very special guest joining me, Ann Hince, a transformational healer, a speaker, and a founder of Sacred Spirit Journeys. Ann's personal journey from profound loss to deep inner healing is very powerful. And today she is going to share not just her story, but tools. Yes, we have more tools that we can use to release emotional pain and reclaim our peace. But before we dive in, don't forget about our copy of the Year of Rebirth Book 2. Yes, we have Book 2, which follows along with this month's series, and you'll find reflective prompts, journals, exercises, and more to support your journey of emotional healing and everything. So you know the link in the show notes, the Season of Self-Love podcast.com. Now, before we bring Miss Ann to the stage, let's take a quick break, all right? It's your girl, the goddess, Nyomi Banks, here on the Season of Self-Love podcast, and we will be right back.
Washington Wellness Institute focuses on healing always. For me, if I look good, then I feel good. If I feel good, then I share the good. If I share the good, then I celebrate the good. If I celebrate the good, then I live the good. So I can be paid to be my greatest. But I have to learn the good to be the good.
So, what does it take to be the greatest? It's as simple as a free 15-minute consultation. Be kind to yourself and heal always.
Hey, it's your girl, the goddess, Nyomi Banks, and make sure you tune in every Thursday night to Ask Nyomi Bridging the Gap podcast, where we talk about everything from love, sex, relationship, cultural differences, and so much more. By bridging the gap between them all, and we even talk about spiritual uplifting. You need to stop by. Me and Dr. Mike, as well as the BTG crew. We have some amazing guests that come through. You never know. Just make sure you tune in Thursday night, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Go to xnyomi.com and tell them Nyomi sent you. All right, my beautiful people, well, welcome back. Well, hello, Ann.
Hi.
Are you ready?
I am ready. Yeah, let's do it.
Yes. So usually before we start on our conversation, we do a nice grounding, probably like a minute, a little bit over a minute grounding meditation session. So before we get into the conversation, okay? Is that all right with you?
Yes, let's do that.
All right, my listeners. So, get into a nice, comfortable position. If you can close your eyes right now. All right. I want you to inhale deeply through your nose, filling your lungs with air. I want you to hold on for a brief moment. Now exhale slowly and completely, releasing any tension or stress. I want you to feel your body relaxing with each breath. Now, as you continue to breathe at your own pace, I want you to bring awareness to the present moment and feel the weight of your body grounding you to the earth. I want you to notice any sensation within your body without judgment, just simply observing. Take a deep breath in, drawing in peace and clarity. And I want you to exhale any distractions or worries that may be clouding your mind. With each breath, create space for insights and intuition to flow freely. Now envision a bright light at the center of your being, radiating warmth and wisdom. And with each inhale, allow this light to expand and illuminate your mind and spirit, and feel a sense of calm and serenity in you. Take one final deep breath in, embracing this moment of stillness and interconnection, and exhale slowly, carrying this sense of presence and openness with you as you move forward. So when you are ready, gently open your eyes and carry this feeling of mindfulness throughout your day. You are grounded, you are centered, and open to the insights that await. All right, my beautiful people. First of all, thank you for just sharing that moment with me. And as always, it's something we do every day, Monday through Friday, if you're new here to the Season of Self-Love. All right, so Miss Ann, again, welcome. I thank you again for just joining me on this series. I'm excited about our conversation.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I'm excited too, because I think we have some things in common.
Yes, we do. All right, so let's dive in. You've walked an incredible path, one filled with heartbreak, healing, and just deep transformation. You know, for those who may not know your story, your full story, could you take us back to where and share what led you to the work that you're doing now?
Sure. I started this work about 20 years ago in my late 30s, which now feels like a long time ago. But at the time, it's like, gosh, it took me that long to realize that my childhood was still affecting me. It's like, wow. But it did. It took something happening, and it wasn't a big deal really, but it was two other mothers at my boys' school. They told me I'd done something wrong. And these women were not like me. I was a scared mother on the inside. I was always afraid because, you know, I had complex PTSD from my childhood. And we could talk about that if we want to, but they told me I'd done something wrong. And these women were self-confident, self-assured, authority type women. And I just could not stop my mind spinning. It just went over and over. Everything that happened, you know, what they said, what I said, what I did, what I could have done differently. I could not stop my mind for about 3 days. And it was at the end of that, I realized, okay, this is not normal. I don't know anyone else who would react this intently to something that really wasn't a big deal. But I also realized it felt like how I would react when my dad would tell me I'd done something wrong. So that was the first little opening that maybe my childhood was still affecting me. But I didn't know what to do at that point. I kind of had that little opening. So that was when I started looking deeper than I had been looking. And I went to doctor's appointments, and he was a holistic physician. So he had more tools in his toolbox than most doctors do. And I can't remember why I went there. It was nothing to do with my mental health. I have no idea, but certainly it wasn't about my mental health. But he recognized I was really stressed. And he asked me on a scale of 0 to 10 what my stress level was. Because I was a stay-at-home mother with 2 healthy young boys, right? It shouldn't have been that bad. And it was an 8 out of 10. And then he asked me why. And it was that question that made me realize, oh, it was finding my mother dead on the bathroom floor when I was 19. So the tears from that event were still just under the surface all those years later because I hadn't dealt with it. So he happened to know the technique that's called EFT. Now, do you know that technique?
No, I'm not familiar with it.
It's called tapping. Another word is tapping because we're tapping on our body as we're talking something through. He knew that technique, and he tapped with me about my mother's death. And we tapped for about 15 minutes, which is pretty good for a doctor's appointment. And I went home being able to tell the story of her death in my mind without the tears there. And I realized at that point, it's like, okay, we store those memories and those emotions physically in our body, and that we could let them go. And that was eye-opening to me at the time. I had no idea that was even possible. So that was the start of my journey.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. First of all, thank you for sharing that. Um, I know so many of our listeners, they carry emotional burdens. I know I've been one to do it all the time and will feel it in my body. Um, and a lot of times they don't realize it, that they're still holding on from things from old childhood, whether it's wounds or even, someone teasing them. I remember just the other day I had a client that I was talking with, and just in his conversation, it was so much anger buildup from his brother, his a sibling rivalry, his brother bullying him, and he didn't understand why their relationship wasn't what he thought it should be. It was so much resentment in it that he was holding on to, that he couldn't see his brother in anything else but as that bully, and anybody else that actually talked or spoke or was a figure of his brother. And we tend to do that a lot and not even know it. Um, what I do like is that you did take those 3 days and find out, why is this triggering me so much? Like, why is this conversation with these two ladies telling me that I am doing something wrong with my children? Why? I love that you even stepped out and was like, okay, wait a minute. This is 3 days and I'm still thinking about what these other two ladies, thought of me. Can you speak up to what unprocessed the grief that you stored in your emotional with that pain, with just realizing that at that moment?
Well, it took me 3 days, and I couldn't have done it any faster, because that realization didn't come till the end.
Yeah.
Right. And that's when I realized that we kind of replay things over and over again. So I had a lot of teasing in my childhood, because I was sent to a boys' boarding school, and I was the only girl boarder at this boys' boarding school. So I was teased mercilessly. So one of the reasons I went on my journey, because I had two boys.
Yeah.
And my boys were getting older. And I didn't want them to get to that age of the boys in my boarding school, which was age 9 through 13, because I was terrified of boys that age, because I was teased so mercilessly. So like you said, it's like we tend to see everyone through those lenses that we've stored inside. So I knew I had to get over that teasing and everything before my boys got to that age. So that was part of what pushed me on this journey.
Mm-hmm.
So, and over the year, well, to begin with, over the weeks and months, right, I realized how much we store inside, and we store everything inside. Everything negative gets stored inside of us as tension. So it might be a big trauma, but it also might be a small trauma, but it's also conditioning from our family, our siblings, our parents, our teachers, society. All of that gets stored inside of us as tension, but we can't see that. We can't see beyond the big traumas, right? If we got a big trauma, those emotions that are stored inside kind of direct our life. They direct what we see. So we have to work through those big things first, which is why I had to work through my mother's death as the first thing I worked through.
Yeah, so that was my next question. My next question was going to be, how did you work through your mother's death, when your first initial? So let me go back. Let's go back when you did see your mother's body, when you did discover her body on the floor. What did you feel in that moment?
I was panic. I was terrified, and in shock and afraid. I was the only one in the house other than her. So there were all sorts of emotions that were hidden there, but all I could see to begin with was shock. And I suppressed it all, because that's what we did as a family. We didn't talk about things. She actually had cancer. So we knew there was an end at some point. She had throat and lung cancer. So what ended up happening is a tumor in her throat burst. So it was a very sudden and very messy death. But we'd only talked about her having cancer one time, which was months prior to that. So as a family, we just didn't talk about things. So I never talked about what had happened in detail with anyone. I just kept all those emotions hidden inside. So it took some work to deal with it and to let it go.
So and I'm trying not to go too deep because I want to kind of stay. I have a tend to go down a rabbit hole sometimes, so you have to excuse me.
I like going deep.
So when you realized after those 3 days, and you realized, and you went to the doctor, and you went to see that very special doctor that helped to give you tools to realize what was happening with you, that you were actually releasing stored emotional trauma that was happening with you through all of these years. Could you share with our listeners, what did it look like when that first initial release happened for you?
It was tears. I let out those tears. We hold tears back. And I now believe, all these years later, that all those tears we never shed in childhood are still stored inside of us. And we're using energy to keep them in.
Mm.
And most of us, I think, would much rather use that energy for other things. Right?
Yeah.
We'd like our body to use that energy to heal. So we want to let those tears out. So that's what I did with him in that 15 minutes. I cried. I said things that I hadn't said in decades. Right? I told him things. So I said them out loud as I was tapping, and I let those emotions flow until once they've flown enough, once those emotions have left the body, then you're at peace.
Yeah.
So that wasn't just the first. I didn't just tap with him that one time. I did tap with him just the one time, but then I went home and I learned how to use EFT. Mm-hmm. It was given away by Gary Craig for free, and you could go online, and you still can go online and learn everything you can about it for free, which was really nice. But I had to go back and tap through her story again, because the subconscious mind opens up once it's been released, right? It's that Pandora's box opening up. Once it's been released, you start to remember more aspects of the events that have happened. So I would tap through the event. I'd talk through it from beginning to end. I woke up one morning and the radio wasn't on, and she always had the radio on, that kind of thing. I talk through everything that happened that day. And as I tapped on these points, the acupressure points, and then I went back to the beginning of the story and I tapped through it again. And each time I went through it, I might remember more details that had been hidden before, and more emotions that had been hidden under those big emotions. And I just kept going until it just became a story, right? I'm just telling a story like reading from a book. There's no energy left in my voice. There's no emotions left inside. And at that point, you've released it.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me ask you this. Once you released it all, well, no, let's go back. Let me ask this question first before I ask this one. Now that all that is released, what made you want to share your journey in your gifts?
Well, that comes all the way down to the last few years where I went through, I worked on EFT, I went through all my traumas, and every emotion that would come up during the day, I worked through them, and my awareness got deeper and deeper inside. And I became aware inside my body, which is a really weird thing to say. And it was really weird to experience at the time. And I can now focus inside my bones and my tissues, and I can release tension in the connective tissue and the bones with my focused awareness. And I felt my skull bones shift or relax. Mm. And I've grown 3/4 of an inch in my 50s because of that release of that burden. And I hadn't heard anyone else talk about this. I didn't know we had these capabilities inside of us. And I wanted other people to know that we can do these incredible things.
I love that. I'm sitting here at loss of words right now, because at this moment, I feel everything that you're saying. Just in April, where our topic was the whole month is on mindfulness and just sitting and still. And one of the things that I shared on one of the episodes were about heartful listening. So as I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you with full of heart, just with my heart just so full, I'm hearing mind and body connection when you talk about feeling the different things and in your bodies moving, or growing or releasing. That's something that you're right. No one's never heard that. But as you speaking and saying that, I'm feeling that right now. Like I'm feeling, and my prayer is that our listeners can feel that too. So a lot of times when we think that our emotions are just in our head, but they live in our whole entire body, how do you help people become aware of that they can feel what you just gave to me? How can our listeners link that between their emotional and physical states? How can they get there?
Well, you have, from listening to your podcast, you have a deeper level of awareness, self-awareness, than I had when I started. I was not aware of sensations in my body. I was not aware of emotions and where they live inside of my body. I'd suppressed everything for so long. I just didn't know how I felt. So to me, that first level using EFT was the first step that allowed the tension to release, like the big emotions to release. And as that happens, the self-awareness deepens. So I became aware at a deeper level. I can sense the emotions inside the body. Now, when we learn about an emotion as a child, so think back to when you're a child, and if you saw someone who was sad, who was crying, someone would have said to you, oh, that person's sad. So we would have related the physical aspects of being sad with the word sad. Right. And over time, we kind of suppress the actual emotions or the feelings themselves, the sensations themselves, and we just use the word. So we'll say we're frustrated, but we won't be aware that frustration lives inside of us as physical sensations.
Yeah.
So this work that I did reversed that process, started to become aware of those physical sensations, and then aware deeper inside the body, right? So it was a progression from no awareness to deep awareness. So when I'm working with people, I'm taking them through those first steps, working through those traumas, releasing the big emotions so that the self-awareness develops at a deeper and deeper level.
Thank you for sharing that, because especially for me going through my journey, having those emotions and those feelings, it feels, and I know a lot of my listeners can agree, sometimes it feels so draining on you physically. And then it goes into an emotional drain as well, because now you're thinking, okay, what have I just done? What have I opened up? what am I, I'm doing to myself? And then once you truly, and this is how, so let me say this, before we got on, listeners, I shared with Ann that just being with this podcast, just doing this podcast, has been such an amazing discovery for myself with this. And in growing, we're now in August of this month doing this series, going on 2 years, has been an amazing discovery for myself, and understanding, being so self-aware. And even when people are talking, even when you're talking, feeling each word and emotion that you are saying. For me, it truly is a whole deeper feeling and emotion that sometimes you do feel daunting because it's so much. And I know I have a lot of listeners, because I have some that have written in about, what do we do with all of that? What do we do with all of that?
We feel it. We just relax into it. We feel it. Now, for me, with EFT, EFT is just such an amazing technique, because you don't have to be able to feel to use it. Mm-hmm. The tapping does the work for you. So that was kind of my first step. But as I became aware of the physical sensations underneath the emotions, for example, where frustration lives inside of my body is tension in my solar plexus, I started to feel those feelings instead of using the tapping, right? So you're aware at this level. Many people, including me, are not. But when you're aware at this level, you can just feel them. Now, I think my way of feeling feelings is a little different from some of the people we hear. So the way I would do it is I would notice a thought that had an emotion. For example, I'm afraid of making a phone call, right? That's got fear in it. So I would find that fear inside of my body. notice where it was, focus on it. And at that point, I would stop and hold myself like a statue. I wouldn't take any more breath in or out. I would just stop and not move any muscle, because if I tried to focus on it and breathe, or focus on it and move, I would lose my focus. So I would just stop like a statue and hold my focus on it. And I would talk to it. I would say things like, okay, I can feel this tension or this fear right there in my solar plexus. I can feel you right there. I just want you to relax, I just want you to be felt. It's okay to feel you, to be felt. I'm not trying to change you in any way. I just want to feel you, to give you the attention that you never had before, which is why you got stuck inside. I just want to give you that attention and allow you to release. Then at some point, I'd have to take a deep breath, obviously, and then I would do it again. I think the same thought again, feel the same tension again, which now might be a little bit less. And I would do it again. And I would do that again and again until the emotion, the fear had left, at which point it becomes easy to make the phone call. Yeah. So that's what we do at all the levels. Even right now, when I'm focusing inside my head on the tissues and bones, I'm just allowing it. I'm not changing it. I know you know this. I'm not trying to change it in any way. I'm just allowing it to be. I'm giving it the attention that it wants. And that's when it releases. When it's been felt enough, it releases.
Yeah, thank you. I love that. And let me tell you why I love that. It's because a lot of times when we talk about self-love, self-care, self-healing, a lot of times we think about how can we fix it?
Yes. I don't know if you can hear me, but it's gone blank.
Yep, I can hear you. I can hear you. It froze off over here too. So let me go back. What you had shared about the way that you do yours, I think everybody experience is different. And a lot of times we are taught to kind of, we're going to fix this. We're going to fix this fear. We're not going to feel it, but we're going to fix this fear. But I love the way that you said how we're going to acknowledge that fear and we're going to talk to that fear. And we're going to figure out okay, so this is, you're fearful. I understand that you're there. And I thank you. And I always say, and I thank you for just protecting, but at this moment, we don't need the fear or the protection. So I love how you even said the way that you do it, because the way that I might say it, it might not resonate with everyone. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so this is why I love when I have amazing people that come on and share their experience with our listeners, because they are our listeners. Because how you do with emotional resilience could be the very people that speak your language. And I don't mean foreign language. I mean that truly speak your healing language and that can hear you when you speak.
Yes.
As well as me. So when you said that, I was like, okay, I get it. I understand what she's saying. And my prayer is that the listeners that are supposed to be listening, because you said you knew that you knew that I know. But yeah, that I know my way. But your way can be just as strong. If we giving everybody our way of doing it and they can do it their way, and they can say, oh, I did it. I heard Ann on Season of Self-Love and she did this thing. And it just, I got that now. I love any technique or any tool that can, because I might end up doing it at home myself after the show. I'm good for that.
One of the other things is we talk about mindfulness, right? So this is being very present in the moment with whatever it is we're feeling. And a lot of people and a lot of past teachers talk about asking why. Like, why is this happening? As soon as we ask that question, we go out of the present moment. We're no longer with the sensation, but the sensation is just coming up to be felt.
Yeah.
So we don't have to ask why. And the crazy thing is, once we release the tension, or once the tension releases on its own, the why will often pop into our mind anyway. A memory of something from the past of why this happened will often just pop into our mind. It was there all along. We just have to allow it to release.
Thank you. That was for me. My ear just started ringing. Thank you. Thank you. That was definitely for me. Because I'm a why.
Okay.
Even though I am a why girl, because I want to know. I want to know. I just always been that type of person. I'm deep down researcher, and I want to know stuff. So there you go.
I was that way too for a long time, for many years. And then it took me the realization, okay, I don't need to ask why. I just don't, because I realized when I did that, it's taking me away from the sensation. I know it's the sensation that is coming up to be healed.
Yes. Oh my God, that hits so home right now. And so for us to truly be in the present moment, it's like honor whatever is going on right now in your body. Honor that. Feel that emotion. And like you said, that trigger is going to tell you why. Whatever vision or whatever that you see is going to tell you why. So now all you have to do is honor it, because we probably didn't honor it before. And that's why I keep revealing itself in these ways. So once you honor it, oh yeah. Thank you, Ann.
You're welcome. We're so programmed to suppress everything. And one of the thoughts that I worked on a lot in my tapping days, in those early days, not right at the beginning of tapping, I worked through all my traumas first, but it got to the place where I could catch that thought, I hate myself. And I caught it, and I realized, okay, that's a thought that I keep thinking, so let me work on it. So I tapped on that thought, I hate myself. I hate myself. I tapped on it probably for a few hours over a couple of weeks. I don't remember for sure. But it got to the place I realized that they're just 3 words. They no longer have any attachments inside of me. So the thought never comes up anymore.
Yeah. So do me a favor, because I know I've never talked about tapping on this show. I don't remember ever talking about tapping. So real quickly, if you can just give a small description of exactly what tapping is for our listeners.
Okay, it's a little bit like acupressure, right? We're using Chinese medicine points, the ends of meridian systems, and the tapping interrupts the nervous system. So when you think a thought or you remember something from the past that has some negative emotions, your body reacts, right? It brings those emotions back into the body, and the tapping interrupts the nervous system and allows some of the energy to release. So you say a thought, or you talk through a memory, or you feel an emotion. As you tap, that energy starts to release. So when you can't feel your feelings, it's a great way of doing it, because the tapping does the work for you. And it's just a series of 9 points, same points. You always use the same points. You just learn the points and you just keep tapping through them.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. All right. So I talk about sacred spaces all the time. I have different sacred spaces in my house that I create, but I know that's something that you talk about too. Can you explain what that looks like for you?
Well, actually, I don't talk about it a lot because for me, I look for deeper healing. So if I'm not comfortable somewhere, I find that discomfort and I feel it and allow it to release. So like these days, for many years, I didn't watch the news because it was too much, because I had too much inside of me. And now I watch the news because I want to know what's still going on inside of me, right? What emotion does it bring up inside of me? What sensations are in there when I hear those people say those horrible things? Where's that inside of me? And I feel it and I allow it to release, because my ultimate goal is to be able to be imperturbable. So to stand at peace regardless of what is happening around me. So I do have some places in my house. I love this room. It's so colorful. I love colors. So there are places that I do feel really good, but I also go out of my comfort zone to find deeper healing.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. All right. So as our conversation is coming to an end, but it has been a great gift. Before we close, do you have a final message or encouragement to leave our listeners?
Yes. I love people to know that there is so much more depth to life than we are aware of now, right? We have to go through this healing journey to become aware at a deeper level. But once we are aware at this deeper level, life becomes fun, right? We're so much lighter. The burden has lifted. So we can laugh more easily. We actually feel physically lighter. I remember feeling so heavy as a child in my 20s and early 30s. And we get these other abilities, right? I can feel sound vibrations throughout my body. So I can listen to music and feel in my body, not just hear in my ears. The tension in my skull has relaxed so much that I can actually sing different notes than I could ever in my past. So my voice has changed. And because I understand myself so deeply on the inside, I understand how life works, what's happening. I also see that outside of me. So it just makes life so much more fun. And I encourage you all to go on this journey.
Beautiful. Thank you. All right. Is there where can they find Ann Hince? Where can they find you at your website?
Okay. Yeah. My last name is Hince, Hince.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. And my website is my name, annhince.com. You can see the x-rays there to see how my skull bones have shifted. If you don't believe that, I probably wouldn't have. I'm also very active on Facebook, and I'm very active on my YouTube channel as well, which is also just my name. So I encourage you to look there. And I do one-on-one sessions if anyone's interested in some coaching to help them on this journey. That's available too.
Beautiful. Well, thank you. I apologize. I've been saying the last name so wrong.
That's okay.
But again, I want to thank you. I want to thank you just for being here and just sharing your wisdom in your life. And to our listeners, I want you to go and download our free copy of the Year Rebirth Workbook, Book 2. There are exercises there that go hand in hand with what we talked about today and throughout the whole series, a month of series here. That will definitely help you to reflect on your emotional resilience and to reflect on how you grow too. And if you want to connect with Ann, you can go find her on her social media at sacredspiritjourneys.com, right? That's your website?
annhince.com. It's my name.
Okay, at annhince.com. All right. So yes. What is Sacred Spirits Journeys? Don't worry about it. Never mind. Her events, workshops, and sources are incredibly empowering, and I encourage you all to just dive in. Again, thank you guys for just being here. I truly am just beyond words. If you guys really knew what was going on in August, I really love that you all are still sticking with here, and you are taking the courage to just tap into yourself with this self-love. Truly tapping into yourself with this self-love journey and committing yourself to having that intimate relationship with yourself. This emotional resilience, this month's series is a very deep one. And I'm truly excited for the rest of the guests. I'm excited for what you have going on with you, Ann. And to my listeners, again, thank you all. And if this resonates with you, please share this with someone. All right? Have an amazing, amazing day. Have a good one. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery and empowerment here at the Season of Self-Love podcast. Remember, embracing self-love is a continuous journey, and we're so glad to have you with us. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review. And don't forget to join our community on Facebook at Season of Self-Love. Connect with like-minded individuals who are also on their self-love journey. Now, if you have any questions or topics that you'd like for us to explore, we love to hear from you. Email us at seasonofselflove@gmail.com. and let your voice be heard. So until next time, take a moment for yourself today and remember, you are worthy of love, joy, and all the beautiful things that life has to offer.